Yeah, I was locked out a little something there, something. What's going on, everyone? We back in the pocket like we supposed to be. Knowledge of love, wise saying, God save the divine. Peace to the guys. What's the deal? What's going on? Atif, what's going on out there? Really got a chance to look at a little bit of news stories. What's going on with your man, Atif? You still think he's gonna survive all this? Is the jig finally up? Why's you? I definitely got to do each one teach one. Like button so we can put the rest of the what did I miss crew up in here. Did anyone see a story? I was looking at somebody sent me a video of a black woman that she got in a shootout with the police in Nashville. I didn't see any follow-up to the story. Like, I don't know her name or anything. Bishop said, did anybody hear the Vatican saying the Catholic laws on same-sex marriage are antiquated and are working on recognizing gay marriage in the future? I mean, that's to each his own, whatever people want to do with their life, you know what I'm saying, for whatever reason. That's on them. But sometimes you reach a situation where you want something for a person more than they want it for themselves. It's like when you're going out and you're teaching this knowledge, right? If you're more desperate for the people to get the knowledge, right, then the people is interested in getting the knowledge, then what happens is you start relaxing the rules. You know what I'm saying? But that's in the history of Christianity. In terms of the Council on Nicaea, in terms of Paul, the apostle, what I'm saying is the relaxation. Yo, close the door. Close the door. But you know, in terms of the relaxation of the rules, turn around. Hold on for 1 second. Yeah, that was disturbing. But so, you know, like I said, that's in the history of Christianity, you know, in terms of relaxing the rules, you know, allowing in the pagan holidays, you know, pagan according to them, of course, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, I mean, it's newsworthy and everything, but at the same time, it's, you know, for me, it's not shocking. It's not shocking. You know what I'm saying? They losing ground to the spirituality. You know, they losing ground to you know, the spiritual healers and developers of the chakras. So, you know, yeah, they gotta produce a magnetic. Yeah, the black woman who got in the shootout with the police. Yep, she was the runner-up. She was the runner-up, and unfortunately, in that particular battle, there could only be one. Why Shani, calm as normally, Rome Fetty. I mean, calm as normally, you know, the statement you made about the church laws and everything, you know, that's the slippery slope. That's the slippery slope that we've been put on with a couple of things. Not just with that, you know, we've been put on a slippery slope of, you know, not really having a set of principles that really, you know, prescribe our behavior. You know what I'm saying? You know, like anything goes. You know what I'm saying? Once you get to that point where, you know, do what you will is the whole of the law. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have a set standard of principles that you're going by. But, you know, again, what happens with that is, you know, once enough people find themselves on the wrong side of the law, then you get, you know, the idea comes that maybe the law is wrong and the law needs to be changed. You know, you know, does the environment that we in, is it constantly adjusting? You know what I'm saying? You know, do we have to, you know, constantly make adjustments to how we manifesting the knowledge and wisdom, you know, depending on the cipher that we in? You know, yes, but Yeah, that's a part of the life that we live in now. Fly freight from the Providence plantations. SW Kendall Rowland, 793rd Alchemist. Yeah, why, son? This is the event I'm talking about, where the black woman, she gets pulled over at a traffic stop. And I mean, from the jump, she's doing things where it's like, yo, not saying you got to be scared, but, you acting a little bit erratically, in light of, what we know about the police and how they interact and react with original people. Right now, you're displaying some behavior that you're a little bit thrill seeking right now. And then at some point, he, she got some marijuana on her. That's what it looks like. Some little plastic bag, whatever. The car that she's driving, apparently the owner or someone affiliated with the car has a warrant. So the police go to arrest her. And when they go to arrest her, she resists. She's like, nah, she grabs her purse, she runs around the car, and I would have to say, me, the officer showed restraint. Where he could have handled the situation a little more crazily. You know what I'm saying? Especially in light of what we know about them. But he tried to hold restraint. He ends up tasing the lady, and she ends up pulling out a gun and shoots at him. She hits him a couple times. Apparently, he hit her a couple times. And then she crashes. She pulls off in the car. She crashes somewhere, and then they, from what I heard, she was pronounced that she was deceased. But besides Wise Son, did anyone else see that situation? Michelle Alexander. Yeah, 793rd. You heard about it too, right? Yeah, they said she passed away. Yeah, I mean, I'm not they when 793rd, in terms of the story, when I tuned in, everything was still calm. It wasn't really a situation like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, whether or not there was really warrants on the car and all of that, I guess that will be disputed or contested in, whatever proceedings they have behind the legality of what happened. But that was that was one of the things that stood out to me in the news since the last time we got a chance to build on it. What's this you ask here, Don Bishop? About things changing with the times, do you mean to say it's possible a few years down the line, seeing 5%ers consuming swine because some rules has changed? I'm not going to answer nothing ridiculous like that, Don Bishop. Was it another Sandra Bland situation? Nah, from what I recall about Sandra Bland, she got arrested and then she was in the jail for a period of time and didn't get the proper care, whatever she needed and did. You know, this was more of a situation, you know, what I saw is somebody that's about their business, you know, you know, somebody that's with the shits got pulled over, you know, and because of the time, the point, and just history that we in the climate where now you got the body cameras, so a lot more of these things is being seen. You know what I mean? Like it ain't nothing out of the ordinary, really. You know, it's just that this time, you know, and for the foreseeable future, we're gonna be getting the audio and the videotape of these things. Love, you saw it? Dr. Degenstein's been a minute. But yeah, you saw the film too, Love? Jack King. Kendall Rowland. I'm not sure where they reported it. It got sent to me. It got sent to me in a text message. You know, at the time, I didn't even know what it was that I was looking at. Then it got explained to me that this was a whole, you know, series of events that happened recently in Nashville. You know. So 793rd said that in the version he saw, he didn't see the lady pull out. I mean, it was an officer down situation. But you know, with these things, there's 1,000 different cameras. So the version that I saw, it was the camera that's on the police car and the officer's personal camera. You know what I'm saying? So in the one that I saw, you know what I mean? I mean, it's possible he was faking, but you know, he was hit, he was down. Tragic situation. Third says saw him mistase her while getting in the car then saw him on his knees looking like Chris Farley with a mustache, out of breath, calling for backup while she slowly drove away. Well, yeah, in between that time, uh, yeah, that's when the shooting occurred. So they missed the whole part where, he was telling her to, put down the gun, and then she started shooting, shooting started. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure once they play the tape in slow motion from all the angles, we'll get a more in-depth point of view. But what Love is saying right here, that was, I agree with that, she was, her behavior was just erratic. Like, she was doing things that it was like, not that I want you to get shot, but I'm just saying that as original men, as people that, look, we from the inner city where we not strangers to this kind of thing. People getting shot, whether it's civilians shooting civilians, police shooting civilians, civilians shooting police, police shooting police. We see it all here in the inner city. And there's certain wires that we would say, okay, don't trip that wire right there, because, you're in a situation right here. So, like, for instance, he tells her to get out the car. She gets out the car. He got her purse on the back of the car. He's searching the car, and she's like, yo, she wants to get her cigarette lighter. So she just walks over to the car door, just opens it and reaches in. Where it's like, all right, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've never been white at a traffic stop. So maybe white people do that kind of thing. I don't know. But, that was just one thing that she did where it was like, yo, you really, you pushing the envelope here if you're just an innocent person. I mean, well, 793rd, I mean, to me, she followed, you know, uh, there was a certain level of street protocol. That's why I say, she was somebody who was, she was somebody who was about the business. You know what I mean? It's a crazy situation because, on the one hand, yeah, I want to, be able to say some things in her defense. You know what I'm saying? But, if you say some things in her defense, right, then, you know, does that take away from other situations that occur, where the person didn't do any of these things? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, crying wolf kind of in a situation where, listen, sometimes you got to just look at the situation and say, look, you had two worthy opponents there. Like, yeah, was it a police officer and a Black woman? Yeah. But I'm saying they both got they joints out, they both got their shots off. You understand what I'm saying? And, unfortunately, man, tragically, it didn't work out for her. But, It's, the life is the life. You know what I'm saying? That's how she chose to handle her problems. Right, love. You hit it on the head. She said, yeah, when the lady said she was going in the car to get the lighter and she reached in, you're right. I thought she was getting something right then. That's why I said, to me, to officer, I'm saying in comparison to what I'm accustomed to my interaction with police, you know, he let her get away with some things that I'm not accustomed to seeing that happen. Natural Jewel came in. Calm Islamic says she might have been under the influence of something other than equality. I mean, it's possible, we don't know that, but I'm sure, the toxicology, all of that's coming. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see the whole thing play itself out. Now, here's the thing. Uh, do we see the other side play itself out now? You know what I'm saying? Meaning that now you see law enforcement using that as an example, the same way, we can use George Floyd as an example, you know what I mean? Or any other number of situations that occur, right? We can use it as an example of, look, this is how we're being dealt with, right, by law enforcement. Now, do they come with their version now and say, see, this is what happens when we, you know, when we don't behave in these kind of brutal draconian ways that y'all complain about. SW said, how is the media spun? Well, yeah, that's the question I'm asking right now. Divine Truth just came in. Yeah, how does the media, what is the what ends up being the outcome, because everything is dragged out like that now. Like we got to get into the philosophical sciences of everything and the historic nature of it, and what it goes back to, et cetera, et cetera. Well, IG's out there listening. All right. Peace to the God. Yeah. You're right about that in terms of, everything she was doing, whoever she was affiliated with, who was in the car, the car that she was in, having a warrant and all of that, And see, I don't like, I don't like to really focus on what was the behavior of the person that got killed, especially when you're dealing with a situation with the police, because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes what that ends up adding up to is you should be a better slave. Like when master says, come over here, you're supposed to jump. When master says jump, you're supposed to say how high. Don't be giving master no lip. Don't be reckless eyeballing. Don't be reckless eyeballing master. See, I don't like that kind of stuff. But at the same time, for me, that's something that it's important, at least to me as an individual, to point that out. And see, I'm not talking about the people who, look, they the cops, they the robbers, and they engage in mutual combat. See, what happens is when we mix that stuff up, right, then you get a situation where it's like, okay, you can't put her, this is to me a perfect example, right? You can't put her with Tamir Rice. Like that's a totally other situation where it's like, okay, we can still weigh it and judge it and see if everything happened right, but we weighing it and judging it with a different set of principles. Dr. Vinci. Yeah, SW, like I said, her behavior was somewhat erratic. That was said, how about if it was a black cop, male or female? You know, me, uh, for me, cops is not really colors and genders. Like there's no female cops, there's just cops. There's no black or white cops, they just cops, they blue cops. Would it would it have changed the narrative in the mainstream media? Would it have changed certainly probably, but for me, they all just cops. SW said it doesn't warrant her dying either, but you play certain games, you win the appropriate prizes. I mean, not the erratic stuff that she was doing before, but I mean, once pull out a gun on somebody who, they got a gun too, and y'all face to face, within 5 feet of each other, at that point, it's, y'all the warriors on the battlefield. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the tail of the tape or whatever, it, this is a white male, this is a black woman. So, on that account, things appear to be a little bit uneven. But FDJ Beats. Dr. Vinci said I was trying to figure out the Brownsville method. Well, there's a video on my YouTube page that that's what it's there for, so you can refer to it. But the Brownsville method is that you quote your degree 7 times, right? Like 7 repetitions of quoting the degrees, and you do that 7 times a day. It's not something that it's something, it's not difficult. It's basically just dealing with repetition. Like when you're talking about just knowledge and wisdom, you're talking about repetition. And see, once that repetition has internalized something to the point where you don't think about it, meaning, the repetition of you tying your shoes now, right? You don't even think about it. But in the beginning, every day you tie your shoes, it look totally different. Because you just was getting the knowledge of it. You just had, but the constant, the daily repetition, the multiple times daily repetition. See, that's how you want this knowledge and wisdom to be. Because that's the way you're going to be able to come to an understanding of it. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying, just knowing about the lessons, you're going to get a roundabout understanding from it. But that's what, most things that you do when you take it to the highest levels. And you could be an amateur at something, but by the time you get to the highest levels of anything, it could be playing football. You got to have those plays on cap. You can't be out there wondering, yo, am I sure this is where the X is right here? To get the whole picture, right? You've got to be able to see everything. Yeah. Right, knowledge. See, knowledge, he hit another key right there when it comes to studying your lessons and knowledge in your lessons, right? Is you got to utilize time sometimes that you're not used to knowing that you have. You know what I'm saying? Because we spend so much time constantly trying to distract ourselves, right? Constantly trying to escape boredom. So like Knowledge is saying right here, You might be waiting on the line for something at work. You know what I'm saying? You might be stuck in traffic. Now, what you might be used to doing is turning on your radio and, zoning out. Or you might be used to, getting on your cell phone and talking to this person or that person. You see, all this is time that you could be going through your degrees. See, the same time when you go to refine physically, you could be refining mentally. See, when when you dealing with the most ideal situation, right? What's happening is that you're activating your lessons so many times a day that you're already practicing the Brownsville method. Once upon a time, when I left the rest, right? If I left the rest at, 7 in the morning to go to school, by 7:30, I'm gonna be in a cipher. That was just the environment, what I'm saying, what was going on. That's, if you didn't see nobody on the way to school, by the time you got to the front of the building, there was going to be a cipher right there. And then throughout the day, you touch the hallway, you touch the lunchroom, et cetera, et cetera. After school, we going in. So see, what happens is right now, because, the environment is just different. Not to say it's good or bad, but the environment is different in terms of, our proximity to each other just physically, the amount of responsibilities and duties that we have to take care of, all of these things is different now. So in order to get that same type of repetition in, right, we have to look at practices like the Brownsville method. We have to look at sciences like really, understanding time and what we've been doing with our time. How much time we've been spending just distracting ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of acknowledging our power. When I say our power, I mean, what's inside of us, right? As opposed to being a slave of a mental death and power. Which is, you being subject to whatever is the ideas that other people is manifesting. Because now that's being the power that's the power that's motivating your actions. See, now somebody from the outside, right? Because you acknowledging their power, what are they doing? They're putting equality in your motion. Those other people, they do things to what? Affect your emotions. To make you feel the patriotism, to make you feel, the richness of America so you can get involved with the consumerism, the pictures or whatever it is, the likes that you get on your social media, whatever it might be. And so this time that we spend distracted, dealing with the knowledge, dealing with the lessons is just one thing that we really should be doing with that. You know what I'm saying? Like every couple, months or whatever, you might be on the internet or you might be at the bookstore and you always see that title, you know, seven habits of successful people. You know what I mean? Or sometimes, on YouTube, 5 things that poor people do that rich people never do. Because they don't spend their time being distracted from what they really need to do the way they distract other people. Meaning, like, for instance, if the people who's the head of social media, like I'm saying, if you go to the executive suite in Facebook, right? I'll bet you, I'm not going to guarantee you, but I'll bet you some money. I'll bet you some money that if you go to the executive suite of Facebook, right? None of those people kids is on Facebook. It's not for them. Yakub didn't build prison houses for his people. So, when you're dealing with this science of social media and you deal with, how it's, brought about certain limitations, in individuals and in society as a whole, right? So that's like a prison house of the mind. See, just like when you go into jail, right? They got jail inside the jail. You go in jail, but then they got the high security housing units, solitary confinement, and all of that. See, that's what happens. See, a person is already you already locked in with the Facebook thing being on there, but then they kick you off of Facebook. They call it Facebook jail too. But that's not for their children. That's for them to make money off of other people. Catch back up here. Holographics said there's a documentary on Netflix that shows the workers of Facebook saying they don't allow their kids to have a Facebook account. Right. I've seen, like, scrolling through Netflix. I saw the documentary you talking about. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. I want to look at it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and look, that is not limited to them. Like, a lot of these wrong foods that we eat, the people that make that, they kids don't eat that. Like the dude from Gerber baby food, his kids never ate Gerber baby food. Nas 120 said, and you better believe those Facebook execs and things of that nature, they monitor their kids more than helicopter, and they do not want their children part of Facebook. Indeed. Congressman, he said a lot of jobs these days won't hire you if you don't have a social media presence. Yeah, I think, yeah, the social media dilemma. That's the one I saw, but yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. Um, you know, to me, you know, that's just something that because you was talking about in terms of people trying to get jobs. You know what I'm saying? Or people going to get jobs. And, I have been hearing about that the people say, well, look, let me see your Facebook. So we could, see the, a lot of things, man, these is the signs of the times, man. These is the signs of the times that this is the new way. Like, one thing that corporate America has always been trying to do, right? And that's get control of the workers. Like, you come here for the 8 hours, but if I can control you for the other 16 hours, then this would be excellent. Like, if I can stop all your kids from eating candy, right? So that, they don't need to go and get all this expensive dental work that you're going to pay for with the insurance that you get from us, then that's what we want to do. We want to stop your kids from eating candy. And it's something that I've been watching just as a social development, right? Corporations is starting to get a lot of they starting to get a lot of leeway in being able to run towns. Like right now, I read a news story about it's an area in Las Vegas that they were saying that, they would sell the land to a private company. The private company would develop the place, have their workers come in, uh, and be a town. They got their own post office and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Now, there's a history with that though. First of all, as original people, we already have a history of being on the plantation. I'm telling you, you might be thinking right now, look, yeah, well, if that was the case, then I wouldn't have to travel that far to go to work. And you might be thinking of the good things, but at a certain level, you got to understand that now you on the plantation, and there's a history of that with the uh with the railroads, especially. There was a place called Pullman Town. The train cars, you probably heard of the Pullman Porters, the brothers back in the early 1900s. They had the union jobs on the trains and all that. Pullman was a individual that made train cars, and he came up with that idea that, look, if we built the town right here with the factory in it and everything was in house, right? Then it would be better for me on a corporate level. But that's what ended up happening is, uh, it gave him so much control over the people's lives, right? That the stuff he was doing was illegal. And so, like I was just saying, in terms of, being a slave of a mental death and power. See, because we know that when we deal with the signs of the mental death, right? What is unique about the mental death from the physical death? See, a man is never known to return from the grave but there is a chance for the mentally dead, because the lost and found were once dead mentally, and many of them recovered from it, right? So that's why it's not just enough for them to hit you with a mental death. You still have to be subject to the power of the ideas that they put in your environment and that they put in your head. So that's something, and I see in terms of, them saying they want to bring Amazon in New York City, and you see it kind of exists in a lot of the inner cities now, where, a lot of what is controlled in a particular state, right, or city is dependent upon what the corporate entities want done. So, that's just another level of the control. That's another, that's a layer of the atmosphere, right? Where, things is in a fine mist. People can't really tell. You think you're being free and you talking loose to people, and you don't have no filter, et cetera, but really it's one of the things like when a fish is caught in a net and they're struggling, is what really causes the net to be more effective. The more you struggle, the more you caught up. So, we got to have an understanding of the things that we deal with. We got to understand what we build. We got to understand that, why there's a lot of, it's positive and negative and everything. So why there's a lot of advantages, of dealing with, the internet, social media, et cetera, in general, there's some downsides too. And that's one of them. As W said, mind control versus self-control. Yeah, that is a certain science too. You know what I'm saying? When again, dealing with the science of knowledge power, you know, uh, when you dealing with who is the 85%, right? And you deal with the wrong foods in all its forms. You know what I'm saying? You know, uh the poison animal, yeah, that's you talking about physical. Peace, God. You know what I'm saying? But they also consume poison mentally. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and of course it already tells you, when you deal with who's a 10%, right? Today's the greater one for you. That they're teaching the poor lies. And one thing you gotta understand about the devil, right? And what they're doing is that it's a cumulative effect. So, the brother Fly Phrase was talking about how the internet uses, 793 was mentioning too, how the internet uses certain colors, you know what I'm saying? Certain psychological devices, right? That even though Facebook is not it's not a psychology, it's not a mental hospital, but they're still employing what they've learned from a mastery of psychology and psychological devices, right? To what you're dealing with when you're going on Facebook. Or just like when you deal with an officer of the law, right? If you notice, they all kind of got the same demeanor. They all use the same voice, the same kind of cadence. That's because psychologically, right, they've learned that the majority of people react a certain way to when you express authority in a certain kind of way. The colors that they wear, all of these different things. So that's what I'm saying, right? Is when it says they continue daily, they're not just trying something new every day. They're taking whatever it is that they already did and taking it to a higher level. Like they may have a different way to administer the device to you. Meaning to make you a slave of a mental death, right? In this day and time, because of the stimulus that goes into the brain with all the lights and all the TV and the colors and all of this stuff right here, you can't just tell a person something and brainwash them now. You got to present it through all the sensory perception that we constantly having. You don't just hear stuff now. You see the video. You have all other types of interactions with it that make the message more powerful because of how many ways you experience in the message. And see, sometimes that's what we not doing as original people, right? Is that we're not standing on the shoulders of the giants. See, a lot of times we spend time just kind of, condemning people from the past for not being 100% successful. I mean, like, say you disagree with the nonviolent strategy of achieving civil rights. Let's say you disagree with that, right? But at the same time, let's say Martin Luther King was 100% successful and today was freedom, justice, and equality. What would you say? Would you still say all of the same things? See, because that happens all the time. You see, that's the thing. We don't use this, okay, boom. That what they did right there was unsuccessful. But in the course of that endeavor, they mastered this science right here. And so now we can take this science, right, and renew that history in a better, more positive way that come out to a better outcome. See, that's how the devilment works. They got things where it's like, yeah, we fail with that. They see, right now we talking about mind control, right? Now look, and we don't want to go too far down the deep end of this rabbit hole, right? But you got the MKUltra program, right? is, I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with that, but this was a CIA program. MK stands for mind control. And they was using, all different methods, giving people drugs and all types of shock therapy and stuff to wipe their memory and program them back however they wanted them to be programmed. Now, ultimately, a lot of the goals that they set out to see if they could accomplish, they didn't accomplish that. But in the midst of doing that, they found out some things about controlling people. And they still use it right now. So you got to think about that. Every time, if you go in a supermarket, right? If you go in the supermarket with your child and your child starts begging you for that cereal, that's because when you walked in there with your child, you didn't realize the child was up against the finest psychology that money could buy. That, like the brother was saying, everything from the colors of the box to the cartoon characters to the way the cartoon characters on the box look down. Like they look in the direction of the child so that the child could feel that the character is making eye contact with them. See, all of that is what you up against. When you put your child to watch the cartoons and the commercial comes on about whatever it is, whatever the commercial is for, you're just a parent, let's say you went to college. But who you're battling against in the TV, right? To have some type of control over the ideas that is going into your kid's brain, right? Who you're battling against is PhD level psychologists. And it's on every level where I'm telling you everything. One of the reasons why, and they always like to say that America is a grand experiment. One of the reasons why the experiment works so well is because what they learned from all the other stuff they was doing. They already know about enslaving people. They already knew about torturing people. They already knew about introducing drugs into people's culture. They already knew about changing the art that people see and the art that people express. These are all things that they've been doing around the world the entire time. Ideas and practices that they've been practicing, they've been sharpening these skills since the Greeks. So we got to be aware of that. Like, is everyone aware of that? Like, how many people, and this not rhetorical, I'm asking, how many people took the time to wonder what that power was about? When it says slave of a mental depth and power. Jay. Holographic said you must also acknowledge the power you may be giving away or seeping away from you because it can have a negative effect on your way of life. Absolutely. Third said his sister was critically pointing out how these cats are drawing folks in with the bright colors, flashing lights, flashy lifestyles, mimicking presentations, software, plus even shooting the many reality shows. Now look, you know, what we saying, right? Everything that we saying right here is you know is expressed in a degree that coincides with today's mathematics. Everything you just said right there. Kendall Rowland said, we came out of slavery with our minds, the bottom minds. When chattel slavery ended, our minds were already turned upside down and inside out. So that's why it's so easy for social media to enslave us. Yeah, this what I was talking about here. Wrong Jay mentioned the opium wars, when they introduced opium into China and seeing how, what it did to the fabric of their society over there. So it's not new, or just like they introduced the liquor to the Indians. So this is why to introduce, they able to introduce it seamlessly to us because they already practiced it. They already had the people lined up in place to do everything what they had to do. As W said, that's hit me into the aspects of mental and physical as relates to death versus power, because one can be mentally awake and still powered or controlled by things other than self, such as religion. Norm J said, I suggest some sort of class or study of advertising 101 of mind control. You know, you're right about that. I would say, in this day and time, uh, at this point, the amount of impact uh that it has on our lives, like that's something that you should actually learn in school. It's not exactly the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, but it is kind of the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of being in the wilderness of North America, being successful, and if you got a certain understanding about the society that you build, you know what I'm saying? And where the values is at. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in a society where, capitalism is probably the biggest driving force. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the biggest value, you know what I'm saying? Meaning, look, you destroyed that family right there, you destroyed this whole community, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm saying is this. Let's say we take a situation like Flint, Michigan, right? Somewhere in the history of whatever happened with that water, right? Somebody said, yeah, but we can make some more money if we do it this way. Or we can save some money if we do it this way. See, if the value, so now, because the biggest value was the money, the people's lives, the children that have to drink this water with the lead in it, you know what I'm saying, that could, affect them mentally and physically, et cetera, for the rest of their life, they're not important. That's not where the value is. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, or just like the things with 793rd was saying, what I'm saying is that when he was talking about all the shiny lights and all the different things that people get affected by now, that all of that is nothing. When it says he likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing, part of that nothing is a kind of false sense of equality. You know what I'm saying? Or how the brothers term the illusion of inclusion. These things sometimes don't just distract us. They don't just distract us. They actually give us the illusion. Facebook gives us the illusion that we're included in the stuff that we see on Facebook. And so the same way, they devised, a different way of getting, their distractions and illusions across to people, right? That tells us how we have to, we have to be more intense about, how we let the people know that that's what's actually going on. This is not 379 years ago from the date of that writing, but I'm saying in terms of the mentality of the people. So when we say kids devil fool Muslim, no, not nowadays. All right, that's something that is different with the mentality of the people that he's going to be coming trying to make an interorientation with. The mentality of the people has elevated. So the answer is no, not nowadays. Because see, we discuss that all the time on here, how, you know, uh, you can go back to, pretty much any time during the history of original people being here in the wilderness of North America, under the oppressive, under the mental death and power. You could go back to any time, any era during that time, right? And you can hear the brothers that's concerned, whoever's speaking up for the Black community, they're saying the same things. You could go back to the 60s, you could go back to the 70s, you could go back to 1900 with Marcus Garvey. You could go back to any era, you're gonna see it's the same thing, man. Yo, look where y'all got us living at, man. Yo, look, y'all ain't, we can't even educate ourselves to try to improve ourselves. And the police is killing us. These same things is said all the time. See, sometimes you got to look at, you want to look at things and put it in a vacuum in a different situation. But listen, man, it's, life is life, man. And so when it comes down to life, right? Does anybody here know when you stop getting hit with the okie doke? Anyone. That's open. That's open to the room. Does anyone know when you stop getting hit with the okie doke? When does one, any individual, guys, see? Takes a minute. Where's VC Realm? Malika M. What's the deal? Cure. Yeah, cure. That's wild. So everybody's manifesting how you see slave on mental death and power right here. Divine Truth said how he sees that part of the degree is power that is seen and power that exists that you are unable to see. Now, Q, this is a story right here. This is biblical. This is biblical right here. This is a level of belief that this type of thing I'm saying. Well, I couldn't understand how is it that someone else can believe in this thing this much, and I can't even detect what are they talking about. But Q says that his mother believed in Christianity to such a degree that when he was born left-handed, his mother thought it was the devil, got stimulated, and tried to cut his arm off. Now that's what you call, I have to agree with you 100%, cool. That is a slave of a mental death and power. that an idea, could come into her head and motivate her to do something of that nature, on her own. Meaning, John Harding Hawkins didn't give you direct orders to do this. This is because of the ideas that's in your head, right? That put the motion in your actions. That is, that level of belief is unbelievable. Divine Truth said, there has to be another power that controls the power. So you're saying, when you're saying the power that controls the power, you mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but it sounds like you're saying the power that controls the force that is exerted on us. So, like you just used the example of the police. The police come out and they do what they do, but they're under orders from individuals that, they, over them in authority in terms of American society. Is that what you mean? Supreme Divine. All right, so now we got to when I asked a few minutes ago, does anyone know when we start getting hit with the okie doke? Self-Out Bill said never. You got to overcome it. Ota I said how Bush put it, you can fool me once. God C said when you don't take nothing off face value. T said death, but when you take the devil off your plane. Kua said when you become aware of your circumstances. 793 said when you put that knowledge before the wisdom, take that fool off your planet. SW said when you knowledge your power, seeing the equality of being in control versus being controlled. Malika said, am I charging for chat? No, I don't charge. But what I do is, if you want to make it into the hereafter, right? But you haven't done all that you have, you haven't given all that you have and done all within your power, then it's probably a good idea for you to hit the Cash App. And then when we're all getting beamed up by Fard, when he comes down to zap the colored people and take us up into the ship, then I'll holler at him and I'll help you get into the hereafter, but hit the Cash App so that I can know that you're serious about making it to the hereafter. You got to invest in yourself, in your future. You wrote a paragraph and it's not going through. It's telling you to pay for it. Now you must have hit the wrong button. It shouldn't be telling you that. West Coast wise, well, actually, we was just touching on some topics before we got started today. And one of the topics that we touched on was a sister got, she passed away. She got in a shootout with a police officer in Nashville. And, from there, we started getting to the class from the Brownsville method and everything, but we've revisited that topic a couple of times. But I don't know what's happening, Malika, with that. I see you made some comments. I guess you got to. So Malika said I wanted to comment on the part about the police officers, also called race soldiers by Tariq Nasheed. If we can't depend on them, who are we supposed to call on when we can't even trust family? And say you can't even trust family, mates, school teachers, daycares, and stuff like that. So who are we supposed to trust if we are not supposed to trust at least some of the cops? Because not all cops are bad. I know some cops that did bad things. That's on the force, retired, and so forth. So it's understandable, like speaking out against the injustices that they perform. But would you gear that towards all of them when we could barely trust the people that we live with and or send our children off with? Well, Malika, I what I always think about that, right, is, okay, well, the police is not a separate population. So if we can't trust the daycares, we can't trust the teachers, what are we trusting them for? Like, what are they made out of that, we should place any more trust in them? You know what I'm saying? And the other thing is this, and it relates to what I've been saying a lot about the mental power. You know what I'm saying? So we can look at a lot of things, right? That is, we can look at the overarching effect. You know what I'm saying? So for instance, we can look at welfare right now. We can say, well, they did, welfare did not help the Black family, right? But if you went to ask each individual, like if you go right now and you find somebody who was a social worker, right, in the late 60s to early 70s. And you say, yo, well, why did you do these things that separated the Black family? In their minds, they're going to say, no, I was getting those women out of abusive relationships. Now, the reason I brought that up and said that right there, right, is because the person who's the individual, they have good intentions. But because the entity that you work for, the entity that you are part of is negative, right? The effect of what you're doing is still negative. Like it could be anything. You could go to the streets and you take, any organization, yo, these cats over here is heinous. But there's a couple of dudes there that they not really, they just there with their friends. They just not gonna run on their friends if their friends having trouble, if their friends have a problem. But because the organization that you're in is a criminal organization, you're gonna go to jail with the rest of them. And so I guess I said a whole lot to say this, that yeah, you may have an officer on the force who's under the impression that he's, cleaning the neighborhood up, he's keeping the people safe, but ultimately, Malika, and a lot of this is my own point of view right here, but you see, police brutality is, when we see these events that happen, that's the police training working perfectly. Like when you say, we look at a situation like Tamir Rice and you be like, well, the police, did they have to kill him? Like, even if you thought he, can you have wounded him? No, because they don't practice like that. They only train to kill people. They don't train to wound people. You don't see them at the shooting range and they aiming at nobody's kneecap. They go and send a mass and head. So, I understand what you're saying in terms of, do we just, line all police officers up, you know what I'm saying, and send them to the firing squad? No. But at some point, we've all been in that situation in life. We somewhere and it's like, all right, whatever's going on over here, I'm not about that. I'm gonna have to leave this circumstance, this place, this situation, whatever. I'm not with what y'all doing. And so to me, that's where it's up to the officers. Like, at the end of the day, you work with all these criminals. Like if you police, you work with the people that do all this. How many times you arrested police? Like you go into the job every day, you observe these people doing things that's illegal. How many times you arrested one of them? So are you really a good cop? You really a good officer, or you a good employee? You good, you do what we tell you to do, and you don't make no waves. Ultimately, it comes down to that for me. But what the brothers was also answering the question about when you stop getting hit with the okie doke. And everybody touched on it, but let me just add on in a way that makes it compact, where it's easy to understand, easy to express. See, you're going to stop getting hit with the okie doke when you stop going for it. Period. You stop getting hit with the okie doke when you stop going for it. It don't matter what it is. It don't matter what it is. You could be playing a game of checkers with somebody. You could be playing tic-tac-toe with somebody, and they keep doing the same stupid pattern every time. You know when they're gonna stop? When you stop going for the same stupid pattern every time. And so, like I said, I'm never one to say that the devil doesn't exist and that he don't do what he do. But I'm just saying that if we're sitting here saying that you hitting us with the same okie doke 50 years later, the problem is not the person that's hitting you with the okie doke. The problem is that you keep going for the okie doke every single time. See, some games people play, when you stop going for the okie doke, we might as well pack up. It ain't even no point in playing if you can't get nobody to go for the okie doke. So when we look at these things and we say, yo, they continuing daily, and we can look at all this stuff and we can point out, exactly what was the establishment that was done this time and what was the establishment that was done that time and all these different things, and it's still going on. That's because ain't nothing different from nowadays than 379 years ago. Not saying from the date of that writing, but just saying ain't nothing changed, right? Ain't nothing changed. I used to say back in the day, ain't nothing changed but the weather. Like I said, all power is wielded by the ones who created it and continue to create it. Any power given to anyone at any time and place is supposed to synchronize in peace and harmony. And that's the purpose of power, not the purpose of one to dominate the other. That's when a lot of problems arise. Most of the times people use their powers because of their ego. I mean, yeah, that's the science of power. That's one of the things about knowledge and power, you know, and coming to the level of knowing what the equality of that is. When I say knowing what the equality of that is, I mean knowing how to deal with that power and add that power onto a cipher in a way that's beneficial for everybody in the cipher, as opposed as in a way to dominate and oppress people in that cipher. You know what I'm saying? So that's actual, you know, the only thing I would add to that is I'm not sure somebody could give you power. Like power is something you got to demonstrate. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, I guess you could say they give you powers if I give you an idea that cause you to motivate off of that idea, but see, really, I'm the power because I'm the one that is causing the motivation. I'm the one that's putting this not just potential of the idea, but the kinetic of it. I was in control of all of that because of the way I presented the idea to you to power you in a certain way. I gave you a certain idea to make you enthusiastic about something, you know, patriotism, you know, or I gave you an idea to think negatively about somebody or something. You know what I'm saying? But you know, ultimately, you know, you could put somebody in position. But ultimately, if that person don't know how to express the power, they're not going to be able to lead. They're not gonna be able to do nothing with that power. It's like the magnet in the paperclip. You see, you could take a paperclip and you touch it on the magnet, right? And then the paperclip attracts other paperclips. But the power really was the magnet the whole time. And see, for that brief little bit of moment, it might maintain some magnetic. And then all the other paper clips would be attracted to it. But see, eventually, once that wears off, now you gotta express the power on your own. So it's the same thing where, look, they can make you the supervisor at your job. But if you don't know how to express that power, you don't know how to, you know, maintain the respect of the people that they put you to lead, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be ineffective. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of, you know, everything what you were saying, I agree with that 100%. In terms of, you know, what power is supposed to do and how it's supposed to be manifested, you know, the way that I express that same type of idea, what you're saying is that there's a difference between power and control. See, power can respect power. You see, everybody can't be in control. We could all have the power to do different things. Like we could be in a cipher building. We all got the power to speak on whatever topic is, you know. But if you in another place, you know, certain other places where, yeah, you could be there, you might got the power to speak, but that's not the way they controlling things over there. That's not over there. Things is controlled in a different type of manner where maybe because it's not the right time, maybe because you don't have the right rank, whatever it might be, you know what I'm saying? People, they not going to do the knowledge. Malika, Malika M asked, "What's the hereafter?" That's it's an inside. If you get more familiar with your lessons, you get into the 1 to 40, and you learn about the concept of the hereafter. But the hereafter, here means now. Like here, in this time, in this place, and all subsequent events are after this point right here. See, there's certain things that mark time, and everything after that mark is the hereafter. And that could be, we talking about, the degrees is talking about on a universal level. It's talking about beyond this present condition that people was existing in 1934 when the lessons was written. Because remember, you talking about 19, you still talking about, there's still a large portion of Black people sharecropping, and some pretty close to chattel slavery situations going on now. You got the Great Depression going on. You know what I'm saying? You got people who, it's been a minute, but the people, World War I is a part of their experience that they've had, So saying that, all of these things that's going on with us right now, when this is over and we get to the best part that we can preserve for ourselves, right? That's what they refer to as the hereafter in 120 lessons. But the hereafter could be that person that, they used to try to bully you or something. You know what I mean? They, maybe every day, they used to just bump you in the hallway or something. Then one day you just lose it. You beat them down to the ground. See, now you're in the hereafter. And guess what? You're going to be able to walk through the halls in peace and happiness after that. Atif said, I got this link that shows the incidents that police have been reprimanded for over the past few years. The worst penalty I saw was losing 20 or so vacation days. Ain't that something? Yeah, that's a, even though I had to say it appears that they're attempting to I guess the word is they're gonna attempt to make Chauvin a scapegoat. So he may get a little bit of change. Kendra Rowland said, in the American public school education curriculum with Black history, but it's easy to manufacture the kind of mind that makes it so easy for an officer to take the life of a Black person. I mean, you know, there's the training on the police force, and then there's also there's just the imagery that there's just the imagery that exists. I'm saying, like, even in the media. You know what I'm saying? You know, just like, for instance, right? I give you look, we look at sports, and we see, LeBron James out there, we see whatever, all the different athletes, whether we talking about boxing, all these, we see what's going on. And a lot of times, you notice, we're very proud, original people, right? We're very proud of how much we dominate the realm of sports. Now, listen, colored people watch sports too. And although it may not be the same point of pride, they're noticing that, yo, man, these Black people dominate in physical endeavors. They dominate. They're just bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. We do. Now, we just talking about sports right now, but what I'm telling you is that this same kid that grows up watching these sports, he goes into the police force. And that's what he's thinking. That's what's on his mind. This brother right here, if we get into something, man, he's gonna kick my ass, man. So it's a thousand different ways, you know what I'm saying? But at this point, the message of the propaganda has sunk in, because the reason I'm bringing that up is because that's been the entire time. Like, see, like, I just brought up sports. Listen, don't bring cocaine into this. Don't bring no drugs into the mix of the story. Where, I'm talking about, you can go back and see it documented of how, times where, look, we need bigger guns. But why need bigger guns? Because these Black people is on drugs, and they're unfazed by regular bullets. See, like I said, now with the lady, I thought she was a little bit out of hand. She was, the way she reacted, that was erratic. But if you look at a lot of these other situations, look at the George Floyd situation. You know what I'm saying? Look at the I don't know why I always keep forgetting my man's name in Staten Island that they choked. Is it Ferguson? But it's that kind of idea is there. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm reading something in where I shouldn't be. But that idea is kind of there. Like, even with Rodney King, like, all of these brothers was kind of, they had some size on them. All of these dudes, that's if you look at it, that's constantly what they pumping. You know, we got to get military grade weapons because the drug dealers have all this firepower. Dude, there ain't been no drug dealers like that in decades. So it's almost every message, that's coming in America in general. You know what I'm saying? Some of these messages, I'm sure there's some brothers out there that saying, yeah, but duh, you acting like this stuff ain't true. But I'm just telling you that all of that is what's playing itself out every time you interact with the police. All the way from the way this individual officer is interacting with you, all the way to the weapons that officer has. When they got those weapons, they got them. Peace. When they got those weapons, they got them to deal with Black people that supposedly was impervious to regular firepower. VC Realm, I saw you over on Instagram. I didn't get a chance to get over there. Oh, this is a side rally. Black observation. Cool said, I see power as control. You can give a layman a 45, they got power, but without control. I mean, they are related. You know what I'm saying? You can't control without power. You know what I'm saying? How infinite the power is. You know what I'm saying? Like some power is temporary. You know what I'm saying? You put an amount of gas in your car, and it runs out. That's just that particular kind of power that it takes to run the car, I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? But even in terms of people, like you might have had power before because you had some knowledge that I didn't have. You see what I mean? And now, adding on to what you're saying, this is what I'm saying, is that now, see, I have power, right? Or the person A had power, right? Because they knew something that person B didn't know, right? Now, going into what Malika said, right? If he acknowledges his power and knows who he really is and knows what, that is going to multiply his power, for him to express that power in a way where now you got the knowledge, we both got this knowledge, we're more powerful with it. As opposed to me trying to control you or control the situation by not giving you that power, by not giving you the knowledge, not allowing you to develop your power by giving you that knowledge. So now I can control the situation, in 1,000 different ways. But in terms of, you having the power over your life, you got the power to control, rather you, focus on and express negative elements or whether you focus on and express positive elements. You know, you control that. There's a fine line there. Right. As W said, the hereafter is the constant now. You right about that? We always in the hereafter. See, I see what it is, man. See, VC round, I'm gonna have to do my videos from now on. I'll be dressed all orange and blue. That's it. As you said, what's the science on stage, sage, and palo sticks? Oh, you talking about the Palo Santo? I mean, you know, this is very Hotep. Sage and Palo Santo is, you know, we're familiar with them here on the Random Jewels channel. Eric Garner, that's the brother's name. I don't know why I said Ferguson. Eric Garner is the brother's name that he lost his life due to the police brutality in Staten Island. So Black Observation says his lady just came in saying she's taking the bad energy out of the house with the sage and bringing good energy with the Palo Santo. I don't know what's going on right now. Well, she's been exposed to the some Hotep energy, and now she's doing some shadow work in the house. Man, Crump ain't no win. Crump, 793rd was bringing up Benjamin Crump. Apparently, and shout out to Atif was the one that sent me the link to the story last night. The brother George Floyd's family, they settled out of court with George Floyd's family for $27 million. And so 793rd was saying Crump finally won one. And I'm like, look, if Crump got 27 million, right? Look, I could have got you 55. And I don't even practice law. We'll see how it works out. Yeah, but that's you know, I don't want to cause any trouble over there, but you know, you might want to you might want to talk to her about how, the, how do we say it? The the goddess, what would you say? The goddess movement is, it's not a part of 5%. You might want to, just graze the topic. You don't have to beat it in the head, but it might be prudent at this juncture. Just, make knowledge born. All right, she's from Africa, so she's into the Kemetic Hotep signs. Yeah. As long as, listen, everything is probably smooth right now. But if you start hearing and talk about how she's like a spiritual healer, again, could just be a coincidence, or it might be a very bad sign. See, where these things get mixed up at, right, is when we lose track of what the ritual was about. So you come in here, and I mean, okay, now look, if we have a certain kind of mentality, we have a certain something that we do that puts us in a certain mindset. You know what I'm saying? You might have anything that you do. You know what I'm saying? Like a person might come home, right? And they might work on their feet. Like whatever they do, they might be standing or they walking. So they come home and they soak their feet in some hot water or something to relax. But that's because in particular, it pertains to their job as a part of a little ritual that they do when they come home. You know what I'm saying? They get a glass of iced tea, you know what I'm saying? Put the news or whatever they look at, the radio, put it on, and soak their feet. But that's a part of what the whole thing is about. You see what I'm saying? But now, if you lose track of it, and now, you just thinking like, yo, this person over there, they got a headache. Yo, suck your feet. Well, see, now you lost track of what the ritual was really about, and now you've just become ritualistic and religious. So by the same token, burning this stuff, you understand what I'm saying? Whatever is the image, you know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, the sage and all the stuff, I do hear that it has some characteristics that it could take germs and stuff out the air. Fights germs just in the air. So, you got all of those aspects of it. Because if you thinking that just burning, I go outside, get you a stick. If you just want to set a stick on fire in here. You see what I'm saying? See, now you might be starting to get caught up. See what I mean? Because now if it's not about really the mindset that we put ourselves in when we go through this ritual for that purpose, right? It's not just that no more. See, now it's about who you got that sage from. See, if you got the Dr. Sabi sage, right? Then you might get rid of more bad spirits than, if you got the Sinetta sage. You see, that's how that religious stuff start working, when you lose track of what the ritual was for. And it's not a thing to just focus on other people. I'm saying that right now. Like if you came on this channel, right, and I was just quoting degrees, I was just sitting there just blurting stuff out. Knowledge, Queen, some savior, and expected people to learn, like for people to be saved from a mental death empowered. No, son, you've lost track of what the ritual of building is about. You've lost track of what is going on in the cipher. If you think standing in a circle and saying your rhymes is a cipher, if you think just going over there and spewing some terminologies that we say, if you think just wearing the universal flag, now you're one of us, you've lost track of the real meaning of the ritual. And so that's where the stuff gets caught up at. And then, you see it going that way. Just like, look, you could buy the P-Funk. You got different brands of the P-Funk apparently. You know what I mean? You could get the Queen Afua P-Funk. You could get the Erykah Badu P-Funk. You understand what I'm saying? See, now we getting holy water, right? So now, okay, well, now who blessed the holy water? Did the Pope bless it? Just some street preacher? Who how, what? See, now that this spooky stuff starts to seep in to the religion, really starts to seep into everything, seep into religion. It starts to seep into the ritual, right? As soon as the understanding is gone. So, with the different things, I don't know how deep far she is into it. You probably don't want to just start no drama because she burned a little sage. You know what I'm saying? But just in terms of, living, the rest of your life, with this woman, you probably want to, let her know, what you about and what you're not about. Mr. Spot. And see all of that, manipulating energy and stuff. Yeah, the crystals, all the stuff. Yeah, she's. You see, it's like I said, I don't know if you was on that day, You know what I'm saying? But, for women, the spiritual world is, I think it got a lot of magnetic for women, you know what I mean? Because, they, a lot of their power, right, is not seen by the naked eye. A lot of their ability, you know what I'm saying? They ovaries, all of that is not seen by the naked eye. You know what I'm saying? As well as, the connections between things, you know what I mean? Like how they got the connection with the umbilical cord, or, just the way life flows through them, you know, and all of these things can't be detected by the naked eye. And because no explanation is forthcoming, then all of these things end up becoming spiritual. You know what I'm saying? And so these different philosophies, you know what I'm saying, that's coming out now, that's saying that, yeah, life is able to flow through women because they have connections with the universe that's not seen by the naked eye. But if these things, is not given perspective through an understanding of what the power is that they're manifesting, what the power is that they're dealing with, you know what I'm saying? Then yeah, it can get worked out. It can get more mysterious and religious than the things we actually call religion. Calm Islami, this is an interesting statement, right? Calm Islami said men are at fault for the goddess stuff. And what is the logic on this right here? PC Ram says same males who majority of the year is BWIG. Oh, Black woman is God mantras. 7930 says Cena woman said she was God as well as goddess, and then said understand constantly. So she's God and goddess. I see. Yeah, see this? Yeah. Holy water versus filtered snake oil. Mr. Peter Popoff with the holy waters. Q said, I don't deal with rituals, just miss being in tune with my universal family. I mean, see, we have rituals. It's just that we're not calling on spirits in the same kind of way that we're used to hearing about rituals. You know what I'm saying? But, a rite, what is the exact definition of the word rite? RITE. Do we have the wordsmith in here? Can we get a definition on the word rite? you know. But to what I was saying while we waiting on that, you know, when we build on mathematics every day, right? That's a ritual. But it's just that we're not doing it based on something that we cannot see, invisible. We're basing it on us right here. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to summon the power of the rain gods, you know, to stop the drought or something. The only power we want to summon is the power that exists within ourselves when we say, how you see days agree, black man? How you see days mathematics? So it's not that the ritual itself is bad. It's when you're only dealing, you know, with those, you know, physical practices of the ritual, right? Without knowing what it was about. But see, anything could be like that. So like if you just having babies, right? As just a ritual, that's what you do. Every 9 months, you have a baby. But you're not really born in no understanding, right? You caught up. I wouldn't exactly call it religion, but yeah, you're caught up in the physical aspect of it without having no understanding of what it means, or you know, expressing no power on, you know, what to do with it, you know, what should be the outcome of it. Comes on, he said, I burn incense for the therapeutic effects. That's it. What is the therapeutic effects of incense? You know, and ultimately, Black observation. That's, you know, that's why I said, you know, look, you know, you might want to open these lines of communication. You know what I'm saying, in terms of, uh, you know, what she means with the ritualistic stuff, because yeah, ultimately, you don't want her, uh, you know, or I wouldn't say you don't want her to do it, but you want to be in agreement with the wisdom, right? On what's going to be the clear picture for the seeds. You know, you don't want to be of one mindset and then she's of a whole other mindset. So yeah, you probably want to clarify that, uh, you know, in the near future. Luke Cage. So we got definition for rite here. Rite is a religious or solemn ceremony or act, also a social custom, practice, or conventional act. You see what I'm saying? So it's, you know, it's an act that you go through that has some meaning. Like you have your rites of passage, where this is something that you go through that means you've crossed the line from childhood into adulthood. And see, when you don't have those rights, you know what I'm saying? Some of them you could do without, but some of them you need to have those. you know, and when you come into the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? You know, you got different things, like you coming around the gods, right? You coming around the gods, you know, you brand new, you just met your man, you know, you thought his name was Kevin, but yeah, he said, nah, he's Supreme. And you know, you start maintaining with him and his people, and they talking and stuff, and then, you know, you start catching on, then you're like, wait a minute, I want to be with that, you know. And then, you know, you've been coming around the brothers all this time, but then you have that first day when you come in the cipher, and now you got a righteous name. And now you building on mathematics with the brothers too. See, that's a certain, yeah, things different now, right? Or, you know, when you learn 120, you know what I'm saying, and you go amongst the brothers, you know what I'm saying, the brothers that you've been uh you know, growing up, whether they brothers that was your contemporaries that you was growing up with, y'all was learning 120 together, or whether they the brothers that's a little bit, you know, these brothers that was you was learning from them. Now you have, yo, God, got that 120 now, got on cap. You understand what I'm saying? And then y'all go through, you know, maybe y'all quote the whole thing, celebrate, whatever, you know. These is rites of passage. Or, you know, there's certain people, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, listen, man, uh, you know, when you been around a law real, shout out to a law real, you know, but when you've been around a law real on a bad hair day, you know, that's it to all of these is things that's, listen, man, now you're 5% for real. The certain thing that happened, what happened? Oh, you went over there by Shaheem and got bombed? Oh yeah. So now you hey, listen, man, you buy you almost there, man. Why don't you go over there? Why don't you go over there and have a talk with Universal? You'll be at 5% in no time. So that was really me talking a long time, but just to say that that is what these things is about. You know what I'm saying? Like, we laugh and everything, you know what I'm saying? But that is what I'm saying about all this stuff, is that these different rituals, you know what I'm saying, when people is caught up and don't understand the meaning, you know what I'm saying? When you just look back at something, oh, well, the people in Africa was doing this in 5000 BC. Okay, that, you know, that doesn't necessarily make it right, especially if you don't have any of the meaning behind it. You don't have any of the understanding of what this was really about. So like when the guy said, is this my phone or is this? Yeah, I guess I'm back on, bro. Like when the guy was saying that his old earth tried to cut his arm off because he was left-handed. She didn't understand what righteous means. You got caught up in just the word, the part that says right. And because you didn't understand, you look what you could have did. Shout out to the old, yeah, of course. I'm glad you was of all the things you could have failed at, I'm glad you was unsuccessful in that. But shout out to you still. So that's why we can't get caught up in this, a lot of this stuff. That's why you see the 5%, our guards is up, because we see a ritual where the people can't explain, right? That you giving us a ritual about what's causing all this to happen, but you still telling us that it's something unseen by the naked eye and then by the third eye as well. And so when you see all of these different things, you know what I'm saying? Is the spiritual experience inside of you, right? And you're stimulating this experience by prompting it with a certain ritual that you do. Like there's certain rituals, like look, person going out to party, they go put on certain clothes. Like you can see that person, they was coming home from work, right? They had their work clothes on, you know. Like, yo, what you, yeah, I'm gonna do this, yo, boo, 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 boo. You see them a couple of hours later. Now that whole ritual that they go through, the music that they listen to before they go out, they take a shower, put on certain cologne, certain clothes, all this stuff like that. Now you've put yourself in a certain, and that's what when people play sports, they got a certain ritual, a certain time, they wake up with certain, things that's done. Dudes go to the music studio, spark up with, whatever it is, people got certain rituals, but the experience has this, you have to understand that the experience is really happening in you, and you're just prompting it by stimulating it with certain things from the outside. But now, where you get caught up at is when you start searching the trillions of years, right, for the holy sage. Where it's not that, I burn the sage and then that sparks something in me. No, I need a particular holy sage in order for this thing to be right. See, now the train has left the station. We no longer. The Black Observation said he was given a 5% dictionary. I mean, this is not something I ever heard of. You said your question is it valid? I mean, what's going to make it valid is the definitions of the words. I mean, I can't imagine what that would be. But I mean, brothers is writing books now. You know what I'm saying? You got what's the guy's name? Understanding? What's the guy's name with the Hustle and Win? Shout out to you got Star Mel. Shout out to Star Mel. I know Sunya's got some writings out there. You know what I'm saying? So, brother could have wrote a dictionary. Now, I'm not going to say it's not valid. I haven't seen it yet. You know what I'm saying? But, if it got words in there that have a 5% definition, you know, that's opposed to, you know, whatever is the Webster's definition is, then I would say it's not valid. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, you know, it's really nothing you can tell just from that statement. VC realm. I mean, we listen. That's a whole other topic. We'll leave that. You know, yeah. Let's ride out the end of this class politically correctly. Mr. Spock said a lot of these spiritual practices are a reset of systems that predate religion. The matriarch is older than the patriarch, but even that in itself is still a religious type of paradigm. What is the I mean, predate religion or predate the Abrahamic religions? And you know, I've always wondered that. We're gonna have to go through that one day. You know what I'm saying? We just about over right now. We're about to wind this one down. But what you said, the matriarch is older than the patriarch. Like, what is the evidence of that? Because I've heard some real crazy stuff in reference to that. Like a whole mindset that was worked out. You know, apparently this woman that was presenting this idea was saying that the matriarchy was destroyed by the patriarchy, but that it was destroyed in some kind of a brutal fashion, and that the reason why, and look, this is a Hotep channel, I'm just saying what she said. I'm not saying what I said. She said that the reason why a lot of women have bad attitudes and are mean and angry all the time is because they have some residual trauma. They have some residual trauma from the way the matriarchy was destroyed. So I don't know if you have any information on that. But you know, I've been wondering what she was talking about for decades. No, that wasn't. When did I hear her say that? It's been a minute, but I don't know. Maybe you can help me out there, Mr. Spock. Luke K said, I heard on the news they were thinking about giving IDs out to prove you've been vaccinated. Yeah, we've been hearing about that. We actually were discussing that. I mean, listen, this thing is getting and you know, I'm not, you know, like a hugely into politics guy, but there's starting to be things going on that's not democracy. And don't get me wrong, I understand that, you know, there's issues in terms of people getting sick, people losing their life. But when I have to show you my papers to travel from place to place, then we've lost one of the fundamental principles of American democracy. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, and even with that, that's a fine line. Like I said, I'm not a person that's huge. You're going to hear me talking about that all the time. But It's those elements of the principles of democracy that we've been able to use to achieve a certain amount of freedom, justice, and equality. Like I'm just saying, in this is a hypothetical. This is hypothetical. It's already passed. You can say, come on, yeah, but that ain't gonna happen. So that's a hypothetical. But what if the freedom riders, right? The freedom riders that that went down to desegregate the buses, I'm talking about in the 60s. Like the people that's going to Greensboro, the people that's going to Selma, the people that's going to Montgomery. What if they couldn't go because you didn't have your papers? Like, how bad would have happened? Meaning, I'm talking about when you got Bull Connor, right, out there with the hoses and the dogs. How bad would it have been if he actually had a reason? Like, yeah, it didn't have anything to do with racism. Those people didn't have they IDs. They didn't have the ID that, you know what I'm saying? That's what starts happening after a while. The more requirements, right, that you gotta have just to exist, the more power they got to exercise Yaku's other rules and regulations, which not mentioned in this lesson. So I could be reading too much into that. But that's why I don't like that. Black observation is crazy. Black observation said him and his Wiz end up bumping heads a lot. For instance, he doesn't believe men should dance, but African culture approves men dancing. I mean, yeah, that is you're a little bit draconian on the dancing there, Black observation. I mean, you don't want to just be a dancing fool, but come on now. Calming normally says certain scents can have a calming or a soothing effects in small doses. I always had incense burning in the house growing up, so I'm just accustomed to it. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. When you accustomed to, these things being relaxing. You outside, you doing whatever, you come in the house, relax, take your shoes off, get a sandwich, and this is the smell. So just the systems in your brain, the limbic system and all of that is going to react to that. But see, the day you come on here and say, well, nah, I had some incense, but you know, that incense came from China. I needed the well, let's not say China, because China be bootlegging stuff. Shout out to China, but China, they got a little problem with bootlegging. So maybe China does have some bootleg incense. Let's change it. We say, look, I got this right here from, I got this. This is the Indian sage. I need that Egyptian sage. See, that's why we have to put you on the hot seat, comments on. Yeah, L'Oreal, that's my G. But I'm just telling you, L'Oreal is somebody. Somebody told me one time. I'm pretty sure it was in this room. I mean, it was on this channel. Since I had this channel, somebody told me that was the blackout, right? And everybody was stranded. That they was with a L'Oreal. Now that, I've tried to imagine what that could possibly be like. To be stranded with a lot of real during a bad hair day. L7. All right, Black observation. You got a couple of questions here. Oh, the brother. Oh, yeah, the brother said, you asking about when I was talking about the brother, his old earth believed in Christianity so much that when he was born left-handed, his mom thought it was the devil. And so, she, I don't know all the details, but he said she tried to cut his arm off. He said, somebody just told me, you know what you signed up for. That's a threat. Like a guy out here in Queens told the Seas not to use Irish Spring. Yeah, Supreme Understanding. That's the brother that writes the books. I mean, I don't know it to be a threat. I mean, um, you know, being a 5% is quite a ride. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have a stomach for it. You know what I'm saying? And there is things that, yeah, you know what I'm saying? When you said you was a 5%, and this is one of the reasons why you gotta be righteous, man. This is one of the reasons why you have to have knowledge, because uh we coming out here. Let's make it as simple as we can, which we always do, but we're gonna cut to the chase right here. You know, we coming out, right, and taking the name of a man, right, that got shot up for taking that name. Let that sink in for a minute. When you come into this, you take the name of a man who got shot up because that's who he said he was. So yeah, you got to be on point. I mean, that's that's one of the ultimate aspects, the directions to look at that from, but that's the reality. When everybody else is having a kumbaya moments and they caught up in certain rituals, no, you the 5% that's over here saying, nah, I'm not down with that ritual. Either I don't know what it means and I'm not doing that and I don't know what it is, or I do know what it is and I'm not participating with it. So you said this dictionary was written by Minister Elite Jakim. Minister Elite Jakim. Hmm. Name don't ring bells off the top of my head. Mr. Spock said there is no religion per se 35,000 years old. Well, what would you call like the shamanism and the animism? You know, because animism is something that I could see leading to the matriarchy, but that's just, you know, from my own way that I look at it. But those are religions. Calm Islam, he said, matriarchal societies seem to have come about as a response to patriarchy, and matriarchal societies have always been more easily subdued or conquered. I mean, yeah, like I said, one day I guess we'll have to go through it. I don't know. You know, it's one of those things that I hear people saying, but I never hear them providing, you know, like, well, you know, these civilizations, these societies, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I've never seen it. Well, you know, before there were kings, there were queens. Well, you know what I mean? Like with you know, and like I said, I'm not saying one way or the other right now, but you know, somebody who has that knowledge, maybe they would like to add on. As Spock said, we all come through nature. People say we come from nature, which is a feminine principle. Now, sight for Black man, you are not God by nature. You are God through nature by intelligent design, i.e., supreme mathematics, which is masculine. I don't know if you want the sisters to catch up to you talking that kind of talk right there. You may not be around when fire comes. If the sacred yoni keepers, if the sacred yoni keepers catch you saying this type of stuff, you may not be here when Fuad Elijah gets here. But that's on you. Calm is on. Yes. The point that I've been pointing out for some time. That, you see, this also has to do with slave of a mental death and power. Calm Islamly pointed out that in a degree, it don't tell you nothing about the father when it tells you that in the wisdom build degree, right? When it tells you that they give the instructions for the baby, whether the baby is a holy baby or an angel baby, they tell the mother, but they don't tell the father. And you can see the parallels with a lot of that in today's society and how things is done, right? But there's also another thing in there that you want to remember. Calm is on. Is that, remember, Yakub was the original Black man and was the father of the devil. So that's another reason why they ain't telling this dude nothing, because you're not the power. You're not the father. Yaqub is the father. That's the idea they living out. The baby is being created in the image of what he wants to be, what he wants to see, which is the double grafted. So yeah, that's a astute observation right there. You need to develop the ideas that come to mind through that observation. Black Observation said, like Biden said in his address, that in the future moving forward, those with said vaccination will be told what we can and can't do. That is not democracy. Yes, it's Atif said in the Vatican's last statement, angering the church's liberal critics, the church's orthodoxy office said Monday that Catholic priests can't bless same-sex unions, reasoning God cannot bless sin. I mean, they that was I don't know if you had came in yet, but somebody had brought that up earlier. This is the constant dilemma for the church, man. What we gonna consider Christianity and what we not gonna consider Christianity. And the sin always wins out. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the pagan holidays, whether it's the sacrilegious books or whatever, this has been a constant situation for them. Right now they're in trouble. They gotta open the floodgates up. Knowledge. Man, we kind of was all over the place today. Knowledge. We didn't lock in. So this is a little statistic right here. Atif said, according to multiple official studies, including a study from American College of Physicians, the infection fatality rate or death rate of the illness is only 0.26% for anyone outside of a nursing home. This means that 99.7% of people not in nursing homes will survive the virus if they contract it. Mm. Hatif said, in seeking to identify the existence of a prehistoric matriarchy in which women rule, it is noteworthy that most anthropologists do not consider that there are or ever have been any societies that are known to be matriarchal in this sense. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, where's this society? And then here's another question, right? Uh, is there's a difference between matriarchal and matrilineal. Like, see, the Jews, right? Uh, is Don Bishop in here? We don't want Don Bishop to jump all over this one. But the Jews are a matrilineal society, but they're a patriarchal society, meaning you're Jewish if your mother is Jewish. Now, if your father has a baby, if a Jewish man has a baby with a woman that's not Jewish, the baby's not Jewish. If a Jewish woman has a baby with a man who's not Jewish, the baby is Jewish. Right? But their society, right, starting from Adam, Noah, Abraham, Jacob, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is patriarchal. So that's another thing, like, when people is classifying these things, you know what I mean? Like, how we classifying them, how do we define it down? Because, I mean, this is a thing. If now, we have this idea being born, pretty much is almost like a mainstream way of thought right now that, Black people should, if we being righteous, we supposed to be in matriarchal societies. And, of course, it could be me, just coming from my mindset of, I'm a part of a patriarchal society. And we don't have a matriarch. Like I started hearing people say that like very recently, you start hearing people talk about Queen Mother Dora and all this, but I never heard that like that. You know what I'm saying? And just in terms of when you hear about the history of the nation, who was the founders, how it was founded, how the bloodline traveled, you know what I'm saying? It was patriarchal. So, so Mr. Spock said it has nothing to do with kings or queens. It has to do with physical and spiritual. Yeah, but I mean, if the society is matriarchal or patriarchal, then somehow it has to come down to the people who hold the power in that society, right? It's women. The people who is the keepers, holders, and enforcers of the law is women in a matriarchal society. That's what it means. It's like a monarchy, right? Means the rule by one person, right? Matriarchy means the rule by women. Unless y'all gonna tell me that archy is like phobia now, where y'all got a different definition of what archy means. Atif said there have been egalitarian societies, but no evidence where women ruled. CVC round, you're not being very hotep right now. Oh man, I think I got to stop now. I'm pushing y'all over the edge over here now. Hotepness. has been passed to the side. Knowledge that anybody got knowledge on the original people that settled the Levant, particularly Israel, Palestine. I mean, when you say the original people that settled there, what you mean? The first people that was in that place, or you mean the different original people that came to exist in that place? Palo Santo? Yeah, I have Palo Santo. Not on me right now, but I'm saying, yeah. What's this, Mr. Bach says that what is a de facto statement the same as they used to say blacks contributed nothing to society? It is not recognized as true in a way because it was not called a religion back then. Um, I mean, it being called a religion and it being a religion is two different things. Calm Islami said, it's saying that matriarchal societies were on the fringe, they were never dominant. You got to go to another planet to see women ruling, like in Star Trek. You see, I gotta cut y'all off. I gotta, I gotta, before I lose my hotel card and then I can't travel. So Mr. Sparks said matriarch is not necessarily matriarchal society. They are two different things, and speaking specifically on the belief in a higher power as masculine and feminine. Um, I mean, I see what you're saying, but you know, especially when the further back in time you go, you know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, right now to a large degree it's still that way, but the further back in time you go, everything that people think exists in whatever mysterious world, right? That they say now, okay, the whatever divine powerful force is feminine, then they're gonna try to manifest that here on the planet. You know what I mean? Like to today's Christians, you know what I'm saying? They have a saying, for them to do what Jesus would do. You know what I mean? The kind of as above, so below type of stuff. Where the same stuff that y'all be talking about whenever the Bible comes up and y'all start saying that it's all astrology. So I mean, just is I really don't know. Like I said, I haven't taken the time to research it myself. but it's just something that I hear people saying that, in the beginning, it was all these matriarchal societies, and uh, I've never seen those societies. I've never learned about those societies. Let's say that. Response to the first people uh, in the Israel-Palestine was the Canaanites. Now let's say, can you direct me to something on the history of the people outside the Bible? I mean, the history of what people? Yeah, well, Black Observation said it will smoke out said bad energy in the school. The only issue with that is, that's going to mean it's going to smoke out some people that we actually like. Uh, damn shame, but that's the reality. That if we smoke all the bad energy out, the next thing you would be saying is, damn, what happened to such and such? I ain't seen him in a minute. Had to smoke them out. At any rate, we got any last questions? We got any last questions that we need to address before we run this one down? What's this? 783rd says, saw a video clip of a young colored boy innocently re-describing his preference for liking physically birthed women as super hetero and got virtually canceled as hate speech on social media. Wait, what'd you say? He he described his preference for liking, oh, for liking this, see, this, you gotta say cisgender. So you gotta be up. See, see, as young bucks, we got lingo that we kick, you know. This physically birth is the word is cisgender. So the young man expressed his preference for cisgender women, and he received a backlash on social media. That's how it goes down out there these days. Now it's a history of the Canaanites, whoever the Hebrews are supposed to be. I'm trying to get knowledge on them. This Israelite brother watched the debate between Rob Warren and Zion Lex. Said Rob Warren is all wrong. I don't have enough knowledge on the subject though. Well, specifically now, if you talking about that, right? I would ask Rob Warren the next time he's on. Like, I don't have any particular I'm not I don't have extensive knowledge on, see, because I never extensively studied the sciences that Israel is the root of civilization for. You know what I'm saying? Like when you deal with uh Judaism, the place where the knowledge and wisdom of the original man started is in Palestine. You know what I'm saying? If you deal with Christianity, I mean, I guess maybe it's Bethlehem, but it's Jerusalem. Those is the holiest sites. Um, I guess at the end of the day, yeah, I got more knowledge about the first people that was in Harlem, because I got extensive study on a science where Harlem is the home of the knowledge and wisdom. You know what I mean? So, and then, in particularly because they go into very specific things, when you're dealing with, design, Lexus, what's his name? Tazuriak. So, shout out to the brothers, but, they going into very specific names and dates of people and everything. You know what I'm saying? Now tomorrow we on at the God hour. Um, if anything, I'll see if I get in touch with Rob Bourne and tell him that you had that particular question. You know what I mean? What I can say is that you know, like when you talk about these people, right? Are you talking about independent works of history, or are you talking about writings that they basically designed to give you clarification to what's in the Bible? Carl Romney said, look up the Gasulian culture. See, that sounds like something, I've never heard that term mentioned with different, religions, but that's what I'm saying. Now you're talking about because see, even when you talk about that Hebrew history, right? You gotta remember, we talking about 4,000 years. Like when did Abraham even exist? So when you say the first people that was in Palestine wasn't the Hebrews, I'm saying according to their own biblical story. You got a message from this mystery God that told you to go in that land. So that's what I mean when I say, you talk about, you going all the way back to out of Africa too, or you talking about, recent migrations? All right, so you said independent works, not something, uh, that's a particular writing on the Bible, then yeah, it's not, there's not a lot of, there's, things that prove stuff in the Bible, you have populations of people that exist today that have a history of existing in and around a place that was identified in the Bible. And so, this particular tribe has been ascribed the identity as this group of people in the Bible, or, this person who's in the Bible has been, ascribed as the patriarch of this tribe of people, the people in that country or this country. But, and Mr. Spock probably got more. Now, I don't know if any of this stuff is actually shown and proven, because, when you read in the Bible, we got problems with the existence of the main tribe they talking about, let alone all these other tribes. Like, we're asking you, who's the real Jews? Who's actually the Jews? Like, you don't even know who that is. So that who all these other people is and it's in the Bible, I don't know about that. What I would say is, what you getting in the Bible is, probably at best the name that the Greeks and the Romans had for groups of people. Of course, sprinkled in with the, whatever knowledge that they, Hebrew people had. But, again, like I said, just in terms of my observation of the scientific method, do we have anything from those people at that time saying that's who they was? Meaning, like, you got people that right now, they come and, they hear what we saying, and then they identify us as Muslims. But you're not going to find, in the midst of all my videos, anything I was writing, conversations, people that I've met, of me saying that I'm a Muslim. So, one thing, kind of bit of advice, man, I would give you, is that, when you're dealing, and shout out to the brothers, but when you're dealing with somebody who looks at the King James Version of the Bible as an infallible book, you might, the, the point of, I don't know if you can ever, can you ever make a point, with somebody who thinks the pinnacle of all truth is the King James Version of the Bible? Like, what other thing do you think you could present right now? Like, if somebody tells you, listen, it says right here in the Bible, you know, that these people floated up off the ground. And it's true. I know it because it's in the Bible. I mean, how far are you going to get with, trying to, use these problematic facts here that you're trying to deal with? So Calm Islam, he said this Gasulian people, and Gasulian is amongst the first cultures that emerged in the area dating back to 4000 BC. In terms of religion, the God of Israel was just another Canaanite God who they elevated above the others. Now I said that was my question to the brother when I asked who the Hebrews are. They don't even know. Yeah, they don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like this what I'm, you got these brothers, right? The Hebrew Israelites. They saying they the Hebrews, but look, in Brooklyn on Eastern Parkway, they telling you they the Hebrews. So it's clear that your knowledge of which tribe is which and who's who, is not the last word on the topic. But I digress. Now, they say all of us in America are the lost tribe, but there's no way to tie us to that history except for the Bible, which is an actual fact. So I'm just doing the knowledge. Yeah, uh, I wouldn't say that it's not out there, but you might be towing the line of searching for that does not exist. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're looking for the origins of a mythological people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can look for the meaning, of what these people are supposed to represent. What these people are supposed to symbolize. What is the lessons that these people are supposed to, looking for, who they are and what they about in terms of that. You know what I'm saying? But like looking for the origins of giving gifts to kids. You know what I'm saying? Looking for the origins of, it's winter time. Kids ain't really going outside right now. Weather's bad. You know what I'm saying? You stay in the house. You ain't getting that much sun. It ain't that much fun right now. It ain't like the summertime. You play all these games. You go to the pool. And so we cheer you up by giving you some gifts in the middle of that time. In the whole science of, the the energy behind, giving is better than receiving. All of these things, yeah, these valid things that you could look up and find meaning, in ways that you could apply this. But looking for Santa Claus is a fool's errand. And saying you going up to the North Pole right now looking for him is, that ain't gonna happen. Staying up all night on the 24th so you can catch him sneaking in the window, that ain't gonna happen. So, when you say, who these people are, you know, uh, you know, all of those people was the same people, first of all. Like in terms of whoever was the Jews, whoever was the Christians, whoever was the Muslims, they all came from the same population of people. Like how they right there in the same place, you in the same cities at the same time. You think it's different people? No, they all the same people. So even this talking now, where they talking like everybody's all these different tribes, yeah, who knows about that? Mr. Spock said Babylon to Timbuktu is a good book for that type of knowledge. Mr. Spock said Hebrews are clearly original people. I mean, you know, it's cool. They gotta figure it out though. I don't, you know, that's for them to figure out. But definitely though, everybody that made it this far into the live, do the each one teach one, hit the like button, you know what I'm saying? Be on point. We'll be back in effect tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Any further questions anybody have, put in the comment section. You know, this is it. I'm starting to get the lingo right. This is the chat box right here. But the comment section of the video when it's over, if you have any other questions for us to deal with tomorrow. So right now we got on deck. We're gonna try to get Rob Bourne on here to answer some of these questions for knowledge. You know what I'm saying? That was the last question we had today, right? Other than that, until tomorrow, I'm going to sign off and say peace.